Poland's government has reinstated a number of Supreme Court judges whom it had forced into early retirement. President Andrzej Duda formally announced the move on Monday, meaning that a third of top judges will now be reinstated. The government controversially lowered the retirement age for judges earlier this year, forcing many to quit, in what critics said was a political move by the ruling Law and Justice Party. The EU's top court ordered Poland to suspend the application of the law. Critics said the law helped give law and justice political control of the Supreme Court. The PiS has already appointed the majority of judges to the Constitutional Tribunal, which has the power to veto legislation, and also controls the body that nominates all judges in Poland. It argued that the reforms were needed to remove judges appointed during the communist era and to make the court more efficient. The European Court of Justice's ruling in October was requested by the European Commission, the EU's executive arm, which argued that the reforms undermined the rule of law because they gave the governing party political control of the judiciary. On Monday, this decision was upheld, and President Duda had until midnight to decide whether to comply. But the government had already agreed to scrap the law, saying it respected the court's decision. We are members of the European Union, and we will abide by European Union law, the head of the PiS, Jaroslaw Kaczynski, said last month. The Supreme Court law, which lowered the retirement age for judges from 70 to 65, was introduced in July and triggered widespread street protests. More than 20 judges, about a third of the total, were forced to retire, but will now be able to return to work. Opponents had feared the PiS would use the law to appoint new judges loyal to the authorities. One such opponent was the head of the Supreme Court, who refused to stand down and argued that Poland's constitution guaranteed her the right to serve a 6-year term. Chief Justice Małgorzata Berstal, 65, branded the reforms a purge. The conservative government denied the accusations and argued that the country's judiciary had not been properly reformed. After the end of communism in 1989, Hungary's public broadcaster NTVA has become the latest target of demonstrators angry at the government's controversial new labor law. Protesters took to the streets for the 5th consecutive day to object to what they call slave laws. Earlier, 2 independent MPs were thrown out of NTVA's headquarters after they tried to broadcast a petition against the measures, since they were forcibly ejected. Other opposition MPs have taken their places. New rules mean companies can demand up to 400 hours of overtime a year and delay payment for it for 3 years, though that is disputed by an MEP from the governing party. At least 10,000 people rallied in Budapest on Sunday for a large-scale anti-government demonstration in Hungary, where Prime Minister Viktor Orban's policies enjoy widespread support, despite repeated condemnation from other EU nations. The government says the labor reform will benefit workers as well as companies who need to fill a labor shortage. In a video shot by a local activist, the 2 MPs thrown out of the TV station could be heard shouting in protest at the security guards during the scuffle, as well as opposing the new labor law. Protesters are also calling for an independent judiciary, independent public media, and for Hungary to join the EU Public Prosecutor's Office. The protests have been led by trade unionists and students. Both flags from Hungary's far-right Jobbik party, as well as anti-establishment Fox masks, could also be seen in images from Monday evening's protests. In elections earlier this year, the Prime Minister's Fidesz party won a 2/3 majority in parliament, making it relatively easy to enact his policies. The government says the laws address a serious labor shortage. The country's unemployment rate at 4% in 2017 is one of the lowest in the EU. Hungary's population has been in decline for years, as deaths outpace births. According to the European Statistics Agency, Hungary is also experiencing a brain drain as well-educated people take advantage of free movement within Europe. The problem is serious enough to have prompted a 2015 program to encourage young people to return home. Author in Housing and Employment Support, Fidesz MEP Gerty Schöpfling told the BBC the reforms had been heavily distorted by the opposition. There was no coercion involved in working overtime, and workers would be paid monthly, not in 3 years. He said, the governing Fidesz party has said the protests are the work of foreign mercenaries paid by Hungarian-born United States billionaire George Soros. Mr. Soros denies this, and says the Hungarian authorities are using him as a scapegoat. The Yemeni mother of a dying boy in California is being prevented from seeing him due to a United States ban on visitors from her country, the family says. Abdallah Hassan was born with a brain disease that doctors say he will not survive. His relatives say his mother wants to see him one last time before they take him off life support. His father says the boy's mother cannot come to the US due to the Trump administration is travel ban. Abdallah and his father are American, says the family. All she wishes is to hold his hand for the last time. The boy's father, Ali Hassan,
22,
told the San Francisco Chronicle on Sunday. He said the boy would probably die if he is taken to Egypt, where his mother is currently living. Mr. Hassan's wife, Shima Swalach, is currently seeking a waiver from the US Department of State to travel to the US urgently, soon after he took office. As President Donald Trump imposed travel restrictions on mainly majority Muslim countries, the executive order went through several versions before being upheld by the US Supreme Court this summer. It bans nationals of Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, Libya, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen from entering the US. Saud Swalom, from the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is advocating for the family to be reunited, said burying Abdallah's mother was unfathomably cruel. Abdallah's father was born in California, but has maintained close ties with his family's native Yemen. Mr. Hassan met his wife in the Arab nation, and the couple had 7 children there. Abdullah was diagnosed with hypomyelination, a brain disease that has affected his ability to breathe. When he was 8 months old, the family moved from Yemen to Cairo to escape that country's civil war. About 3 months ago, Mr. Hassan brought his son to the US for treatment, with the expectation that his wife would later join them. But after doctors in Oakland, California, informed him that the boy's condition was terminal, the family applied for her to travel to the United States. They say they received a rejection letter from the State Department, citing the US president's travel ban. A State Department official, who did not wish to be named, refused to discuss the specific case due to confidentiality laws. But the official told the BBC they make every effort to facilitate legitimate travel by international visitors. We are also fully committed to administering US immigration law and ensuring the integrity and security of our country's borders. 2 Scandinavian women tourists have been found dead in Morocco with the cats to their necks, the country's interior ministry said. Both bodies were found near the town of Inlo, in the high Atlas mountain range, near the foot of North Africa's highest peak, Mount Abco. The pair, from Denmark and Norway respectively, have not yet been named. A police investigation has been launched into their deaths, the Interior Ministry statement said. After agriculture, tourism is one of the biggest employers in Morocco. The United States military says it has killed 62 fighters from the Islamist group al-Shabab in 6 airstrikes in Somalia. 5 airstrikes on Saturday killed 32 militants, and a further 2 on Sunday killed 28, it said. In a statement, these were the deadliest air attacks in Somalia since November 2017, when the United States said it had killed 100 militants. Somalia has seen a sharp increase in the number of airstrikes and casualties since President Donald Trump took office in the US in January 2017. A tally by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism reveals that at least 400 people have been killed in airstrikes since the beginning of 2017.